career power was the second of these breakdown metrics, and what comes after is the career energy metric. And the important thing here is that the career, as I said before, this career power metric, these muscles, they put sort of a flywheel effect, een vliegwiel effect in Dutch, on the career energy. So on all the efforts you put into your career development. So it's a bit more it's a bit longer term, let's say, this self-motivation capacity than the career energy. Your career energy, as I've touched upon before, it's a bit the cardio of your the cardio training of your career management. It's a checkup. It's a checkup of how fit are you today? How much energy can you put into the next challenge that we would place in front of you? This could be in a recruitment context. This could be in a change management context, and so it can be used and actually academically it has been used in a couple of different contexts already. So the challenge in front of you, how fit are you to take on that challenge? And by in an academic context, of course, I refer to the psychological capital scale. So what levels of energy could you currently bring to bear? That's what this metric is about. It's on the short, in the shorter term. It will tell you something about if we're gonna promote you right now. Will that be the promotion too many? Will that cause burnout rather than you being able to sort of hit the ground running? What it contains, so a bit, it follows the logic of the other two breakdown metrics. This one is focused on the energy stress balance. So it takes the sum of all these energy stress and these psychological capital states. That's what it starts from. Up to there, and no surprises, I would guess. But then what comes after, that's also a bit interesting, and a bit like the previous slide, it also has some positive and some negative aspects. On the one hand, the career energy metric, the metaphor that I use while developing it, or that I use to convince myself of this, you could say, is that of synchronous diving. I hope that's the right word for it. So this, it's an Olympic discipline where you go, where two people dive at the same time, or it could also be one person diving, but then they get points on the exercise. And just like in other fields in athletics, I think you also have a couple of these disciplines where they do that. What happens there? Your score is for a large part actually based on the difficulty of the exercise you're doing. I'll clarify right away what I mean in a career context. So that's something we've added to this metric. So how difficult is it what you're doing right now? Let me clarify. If you're very high on psychological capital, and that means that you're very high on confidence, that you that you think that you feel you can do this job. And in Dutch we say 2 fingers in the nose. I'd have to look up what would be the right English colloquialism here. So you're doing something with almost no effort. It's you do it effortlessly. It's routine for you. So whatever you're doing, the challenge is not too high for you, which is something we can measure either by the ambition in your profile or the amount of intellectual challenge you're seeking. If you're in such a case, so your psychological capital is high, but it is so high because you've never challenged yourself, then if we put a new challenge in front of you, actually, we don't know whether the psychological capital will be a good prediction of whether you will rise to the challenge. So if you've always chosen the path of least resistance and suddenly you're confronted with a challenge which is so much greater, then PsyCap, the energy stress balance by itself might not be enough to predict. So therefore, we've added ambition and intellectual challenge, sort of as how difficult is it what you're doing right now? How much ambition are you already displaying right now in what you're doing? In Dutch, again, I'm sorry for the Canadian coaches, but in Dutch we have this saying of hoeveel hooi neem je op de vork? Dirk, having lived in the UK for a year now, perhaps you can help me out here with what the saying would be in English?
Not immediately. I will search.
Okay. Well, it has, yeah. It sort of conveys something like, oh yeah, biting off as more than you can chew. I think that would be the English equivalent. So if you're biting off a lot, and then you're displaying a lot of ambition and you're challenging yourself. If you're taking only small bites, then you're probably not challenging yourself that much, and therefore you might exhibit a high energy stress balance, but we don't know whether that's really a good indication of your career energy. There's also one negative factor in here, which is stability. So the more you're stability seeking, the less, actually we know, the less you will be inclined to take challenge, the more you will be inclined to stay in your comfort zone. So again, that's actually a bit the same logic as the above, but this is just measured negatively. That all still makes sense to you? No
Yes,
questions?
more or less, yes.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay. Great. So either it was very clear or you're just so bored that you're thinking, get it over with.